up?
What's up, homies?
Hey.
How's my voice? Can you hear me?
You sound good.
All right, good.
It's deep. Speaking of deep, we got Lucky's pipe here.
What's up, mic in hand.
Deep as the ocean.
So I was thinking of talking about Greg Monroe.
Danny Theis.
Jonathan wants to talk about Danny Theis.
Love Danny Theis. Always have since I heard about him last week.
Maybe a little bit about
Danny Theis or Kelly Olynyk.
Danny Theis.
Kelly.
Two most important white people in American history.
Neither of them American. Go figure. Welcome back to another edition here of Celtics Roundtable here on the Boston Celtics news feed. We got Jared Weiss, as you just heard. He's from the Celtics Wire, and he's the Celtics insider. And then two guys who are definitely not insiders. They're making three. We got Lucky's Pipe, my brother Jonathan. I'm Ed Ignal. We got a lot to talk
Celtics
about
outsiders.
Here. Yeah, outsiders. There you go. We got a lot to talk about here. I think I first want to start with Greg Monroe. And I just want to get the feeling where you guys are all at on him is at what point can we consider this signing a bust? Because I think I'm pretty close at this point.
I would say more than 6 games of sample size, probably. Okay. He's only played 6 games so far, so I'm going to give him a little bit of time. It has been pretty. So when they signed him, my instant reaction, obviously we saw this coming for a little while, but my instant reaction is, why exactly do they need him? And not only do they have another body, which Stevens, even after signing Monroe, continues to say that they're thin in their front court depth, but he also provides them a slightly different option. So now they have 4 different types of big men to put around around Horford. And what I like is that he basically can fill a similar role to Baynes, except he's a better offensive player. So if they're in a situation where they need, where they're not going up against a really good low post center, then it might make more sense to play Monroe. So far, though, the lineups that they've been putting him in aren't really. They're not really lineups that really play to his strength. So I think they're still trying to find what is the optimal time to use him. And I haven't really figured it out yet. He was in lineups where it's Smart, Rozier, Ojale. That's not a 4. Like Steven said, we need to put him in lineups where he's with 4 shooters. That's not 4 shooters. So the more they can put him around shooters, which they don't have a ton of shooters to really put him around. But I think probably it's him being in the starting lineup, not necessarily starting the game, but being in that lineup. That might be the lineup where he actually fits schematically. But I think people, because of his name, because of the amount of money they were paying for him, when he was signed, they expected him to be getting 25 minutes a night. But I think his role on this team might only have him being a 2 stint per game kind of guy. And then there's going to be some matchups where he's going to play double that. He'll play 20 minutes instead of 10 minutes. And so far, every game he's played just about 10 minutes or he's played almost 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think throwing him out with Kyrie would be a big mistake. You're just killing the speed and the effectiveness on defense. I really don't think – I think it's not the best signing. I don't think this is a huge deal because there's going to be a playoff roster crunch, and I don't see Greg Monroe getting any meaningful minutes, maybe unless there's an injury or just a certain matchup that Brad really likes. He's still new, 6 games, clearly out of shape, but it reminds me a little bit maybe of the David Lee signing. He seems washed, but he definitely doesn't fit the system or style, and I feel like he might be a little less valuable to the Celtics than maybe he would be for other contenders.
He's also kind of the exact same player as David Lee. They're very similar. I don't think he was quite as washed as – I love David, but David's career was almost over when he came to Boston. And then it was revived when he left, and he really thrived. And did he go straight to Dallas or San Antonio? I can't remember.
San Antonio, yeah.
Yeah. No, he went to Dallas and San Antonio, right?
Okay, so I think that's how it went.
But there's a parallel here, right? David Lee said that he played so poorly in Boston because he was out of shape, and then he got in shape for the Spurs and then retired.
Monroe was playing almost 25 minutes a night or so right before because he sat for most of December and January. They barely were playing him. And then he played kind of late January. He played 5 or 6 games in a row. He was playing 25 a night. So maybe he just needs to get back into the shape that he was in before. They were just sitting him for most of December. Maybe that's what affected him. But he moves like a moose out there.
Theis, Baynes, and Horford are all much better defensively, I would say, right? So Monroe's got to bring it at least on the offensive end. I'm just not seeing him get those easy shots out there.
And when you don't even have Aaron Baynes range, Like your window to score is very small and limited.
Come
on
on,
this team.
Baynes doesn't even have bunny range. He's
Baynes hits a
Baynes like?
15-footer. He has like a one-hand throw
It's like-
shot that he hits.
Yeah,
Then he'll try the
he's got
three-pointer, but
mid-range.
he hasn't had any luck.
I mean, Monroe, I don't think he's attempted a single shot outside of the paint so far. And it's like under the first hash mark. Like it's all within like a 8x10 box basically. Which
He's shooting corner threes in April.
probably. Amir Johnson was like statistically a good 3-point shooter by the end of his career here. So who knows? Monroe might be shooting better than Horford by the end of the season.
I just feel like the paths to effectiveness seem a little bit more closed off, and he hasn't gotten off to the best start by being so out of shape. All right, final thoughts here before we move on. That's it. Nothing on Moose.
I feel like, that's all the time we have for Greg Monroe.
Okay. I mean, let me just throw two things out there. I think one thing is so far all the actions that they've been running with him have been either they have a box set with him at the nail on the free throw line, so they have shooters in the corners and then guys at the elbows, the ball somewhere over there. They'll like swing the ball to an elbow and he'll run like a pick and roll, and that's worked actually pretty well in getting him the ball rolling to the hoop because the defender kind of gets out of position because they're trying to overload the side where the ball goes to, and that allows them to kind of roll free to the basket. So that's worked. You can't run that too many times a game, but it works once in a while. The post-ups to him have all been pretty lousy. They're mostly hunting for mismatches and then posting those up. Most defenses love it when that happens. Most teams love it when you're trying to disrupt your own offense to do that. However, if it's like the second unit without any of their best players out there, their offense is already terrible, so that's a pretty viable way to get out of it. So I think like his value comes mostly in running those kind of plays with the second unit when they're having trouble creating a shot, and they at least know they can go to him because like he's good on the block. I mean, statistically he's been terrible so far at the Celtics, but like that doesn't. I went back and watched every shot he's taken so far. Most of the misses that he had were like weird. It was like two where he had made a really nice move, and then like Andre Drummond or DeAndre Jordan blocked him, I think, which is like 99% of the time you're going to get that shot unless you're going against literally the two most athletic centers in the NBA. And then a few of them were like, he probably should have gotten a foul call, or it was like a really tricky finger roll that just rolled out. There were very few shots where he just like straight up missed like a difficult shot.
Again, it's been such a small sample size, but I don't know if I necessarily trust Monroe because if he's missing a layup, he's not the first guy back on defense. He's actually the last because he seems to find himself thinking he gets fouled on every play. And in transition, I feel like they're getting killed when Monroe is just not hustling back.
Well, to his credit, when he's had 2 offensive rebounds in every single game he's played so far, which is kind of weird looking at that right now. But most of those offensive rebounds are he misses a layup and he like throws a guy off when he lands and grabs a rebound and puts it back in. So like he's doing a pretty decent job of cleaning up for himself. But it doesn't negate your point. I mean, he is pretty slow getting back in transition.
Quick jumper, slow strider. That was hard to say. You got there.
Yeah, you got there. He said slut, but you got there.
Yeah, you had a JJ Redick moment on that one.
All right. Well, speaking of which, if you're trying online dating, chances are you've run into lazy text messages, dead-end conversations, and random matches that don't turn into dates. You just get to know someone by looking at their picture. That's why you got to go with eHarmony, which is unlike many other dating sites because they take the steps that other dating sites don't in order to find you a more compatible match. They've helped over a million people find their perfect match. There are plenty of sites out there, but this is not a hookup site. Right now, our listeners can get a free month with eHarmony by signing up for a 3-month subscription. Enter the code BostonCeltics at checkout. Stop waiting and start your journey to a meaningful, satisfying relationship using eHarmony. Enter the code BostonCeltics at checkout. Well, guys, I don't know about you, but I'm in love with Kawhi Leonard's game, and there's trouble in
probably
paradise.
Miss it.
Excuse me? Say that again.
Probably miss it a lot.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no kidding. But apparently the Spurs and Kawhi are at odds, and it's especially interesting because he could be due for a contract extension this year before he becomes a free agent in the summer of 19. And I mean, I don't know how to look at this. Like, if the contract extension, if they don't agree to something ahead of time, I think the Spurs will probably, see what's out there at this point. Jared, do you think there's like a chance here? I mean, he is a bona fide superstar on the level of Anthony Davis. Maybe it's not quite as clean a fit, but you might as well shoot your shot on a guy who's a Finals MVP.
But would you trade Terry Rozier for Kawhi straight up?
Well, he's untouchable, so legally you're not. It's against the CBA. But Yavu,
I don't know trade post Terry.
That's true. With a K, by the way. By the way, are you in a tanning bed right now? Where's this blue light coming from? It's just all blue. I love it. The mood is great.
It's his aura.
Mood lighting.
Screens.
There you go. It must be his third eye. But so I mean, I think Davis is much more likely to be attainable. I see that situation much more likely to deteriorate than this one. I mean, obviously, nobody seems to know what's going on with that situation. I've talked to people who cover the Spurs, and they're not even 100% sure exactly what's going on, but they don't think a breakup is necessarily on the horizon. I don't see any reason why Kawhi would walk away from that situation. It's the Spurs. Nobody really walks. LaMarcus Aldridge tried to walk away from the Spurs, and Popovich showed him his secret files, and all of a sudden he's like, I don't want to get traded again, or they communicated, whatever it is. But I just don't see a reason why Kawhi would walk away from that. Obviously, everybody in the league would jump at the chance to get him. Obviously, the Celtics would be in the best position to get him. They're in the best position. I guess them and the Sixers are in the best position to get any elite player. If I had to choose between getting either Davis or Kawhi, it's a pretty tough choice, but I maybe would rather take Davis just because the Celtics have Hayward already, who's kind of like a almost as good version of Kawhi. Like, they're very similar players. But you can never have enough Kawhi Leonards on your team. I mean, he is a Hall of Fame player in his prime. So, but the injury thing is a major concern, and like, there's no facts in the situation. It's speculation that he's been cleared to play, and he got some second opinion that told him not to play. And it's not like he's holding out for some sort of contractual reason. He's not playing because he doesn't think he's healthy enough to play. So that's scary. And I mean, we don't really know what's going on, but he has some muscle injuries in high risk areas that you can have chronic injuries that really ruin your game. So I don't know what the hell's going on, and I wish I could give you some sort of like unique insight. I mean, the only insight I can give you is that I was just at Sloan, and the people I talked to there, nobody thinks that Kawhi's going anywhere, and they assume this is gonna come together at some point soon, and he'll be back out there. And they're hoping he'll play in the playoffs, but no one thinks that the way that his injury has been managed is enough for him to actually want to leave.
That makes sense. Yeah, I feel like the media's been playing this one up a little bit. Anthony Davis does kind of seem like the more likely target. I mean,
wait, you think Stephen A. Smith was playing this up?
A chance.
Hard to say.
Well, the scary thing about Stephen A. is like he's been right on some stuff, and he sensationalizes everything, but like he's had inside knowledge on a lot of stuff. So, and like, I've seen Stephen A. in the locker room, and he has access at a level that most people don't. So, Stephen A. is a crazy pathological psycho. So like he plays one on TV. In real life, he's cool. Like, I've talked to him, he's cool in real life. But he plays a crazy person on TV, just like Alex Jones. It's a performance act, and so that makes it really dangerous when he says these kind of, like, when he throws stuff out there, because you genuinely don't know if it's bullshit or not. Because if Skip Bayless threw something out there, I would know it's bullshit, because he's literally the reincarnation of Alex Jones. But like, Stephen A. has had a track record of sometimes maybe getting stuff right, and that's enough to plant the seed of doubt that it's complete BS. So I wouldn't rule out anything that he says being true.
Broken clocks, correct. 2 times a day.
All right.
It's pretty good.
Let's stick with this Alex Jones theme here. I don't know about you guys. I'm pretty worried.
You ready?
I'm pretty worried about LeBron potentially going to the Sixers in the offseason. I feel like that would just like ruin my decade. Assuming LeBron's going to play another 10 years, which I assume he will. I guess no one has any idea what LeBron is going to do, but it feels like it makes sense to me on paper. And I wonder if it's not being talked about enough, LeBron going to the Sixers. What say y'all?
So, I mean, last night I was at a Sloan party, and I think it was Kevin Pelton and Peter Nygaard I was talking about this with. We kind of agreed that Philly would be like the optimal destination for LeBron to go to, because that would just be the most fun for the NBA. Putting him and Joel next to each other, it's feasible. I mean, they financially can make it work. Probably wouldn't. I don't think it'd be that hard for them to pull it off. The question would be, what do you keep Simmons with him, because they're like identical players essentially. Although Simmons is still very early in his development, his range is way more limited, but they're very similar in their playing style. So like I would assume that would be the best team in the NBA, but we'll see what happens with Golden State. But so the point is, it's Philly, Atlanta, obviously, but he's not going there. Houston would have to go through so many cap gymnastics to get him there that it seems unrealistic, but it tends to happen when teams want to make it happen. And then the Lakers, which, I mean, he's not going to the Lakers without two other elite players there. And, I mean, I don't think Paul George is going to leave. It doesn't, like, unless Oklahoma really sucks in the playoffs this year, I don't really think George is going to walk away from that situation. It's a pretty good situation there. But obviously, if LeBron calls him up and says we're going to Lakers, that's different. And the Lakers have the talent that they could probably trade for another really good player. Ingram is a pretty significant prospect. I'm sure they could trade pretty much all those young guys and get another great player there with them.
Going back to the conference, can you maybe elaborate on just how wild those Sloan parties get?
So it's literally just a collection of
crystal
nerds.
bottles.
Yeah, we're saying Leiden the entire time. I was drinking whiskey sour, so it's pretty much the Cristal of Sloan. I mean, the ones I went to were they were just at sports bars in Boston, basically. It's mostly just a bunch of nerds sitting here. We were just diagramming plays on the table, watching 5 different basketball games at a time, debating whether Langston Galloway was worth his $6 million a year or whatever contract, stuff like that. I mean, it was I literally spent an hour with Jeremiah Engelman just debating whether or not Jay Crowder is overrated or underrated because of RPM.
All right, final thoughts here on what the Celtics are up to before we wrap up.
Let's talk a little Theis and Baynes.
Oh, of course, your guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved Danny Theis since I was calling him Danny Theis, but honestly, I really love the rotation that they played against Detroit. I mean, I know it sucks he got hurt, but Baynes plays the first 4 minutes, then we go to Theis, and we don't really see Baynes again. I'm all for that. I mean, you guys may feel differently. Baynes has been a really solid pickup on the defensive end, but honestly, he's got stone hands and to the point where he struggles sometimes to complete a wide open dunk. I'm not saying Danny Theis is the answer or 25-year-old undrafted rookies like a championship caliber starter, but he's been super consistent. I love what he does on both ends, and I think there's something to him opening up the offensive end for guys like Jalen to work in space and Jalen to get those easy buckets to get him going. I just really I don't know. I'm thinking about the playoff rotation, and yeah, I mean, if you're going against a couple Giants, you might want to throw Baynes. But
so you're on the start Theis movement.
I don't know if I'm on the. I mean, you can, like I said, the lineup against Detroit, play Baynes 4 minutes, and thanks for playing.
I mean, there is a start Theis movement out there, so you're joining an army of many.
Yeah, I mean, matchup dependent, sure, but I get why you would start Baynes against the Giant, but Theis has been really good.
Yeah, I would just keep it, matchup dependent. I'm still thinking Smart would look good in the starting lineup, but it doesn't really matter because he plays the whole fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think Baynes is there for Joel Embiid, so Al Horford can guard Ben Simmons. But otherwise, Theis all the way. I'm all in. He's really good. All right, let's wrap things up here. I want to thank Jared Weiss for joining us. Where can we find your work, Jared?
Go over to CelticsWire.usatoday.com and follow me on the tweets and the Instagrams at Jared Weiss NBA.
All right, awesome. That was Jonathan Ignal as well, and Lucky's Pipe. I'm Ignal. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Celtics Roundtable here on the Boston Celtics newsfeed. We'll see you next time. That'll be tomorrow, actually. We're going to have Sam Sheehan. Evan Valenti's going to be hosting. Maybe we'll get Zaire on there. So stay tuned for that. All right, cool, guys.
Wait, real quick. How funny was it that Marcus Smart didn't attempt a three? I saw people speculating this, and it's only his second game last month. It's no coincidence he dunked twice. A nice beard comb. I like that.
Thank you.
Get myself one. No, the bounce
beard
is
isn't itching the whole time.
It's doubled his dunk total from 2 to 4.
Really?
It's true.
Does he look skinnier?
Mike Gorman thinks so.
He looked into me.
That doesn't mean much.
Gorman believes
Mike told me I looked skinny the other day.
Until Tommy sees him in the shower, it's all hearsay.